Today we're going to make this little snowman mug rug. I have recently updated the design. My older design has an opening at the bottom where you turn it right side out and then stitch or fuse it closed. I've just changed that part because I found something I liked a little bit better for the backing, which you'll see in the video at the end. So this particular pattern has 3 different things you could make. You could do a doorknob hanger by just simply adding a ribbon. You can add some binding around the edges. You will need a regular sewing machine if you're going to do this one. Then, of course, a simple little mug rug, which is a perfect size for a mug rug, and these make really great gifts. If you see this yellow ribbon at the upper edge of the main picture, you know that's the pattern or the design that comes with the 3 different ideas. Because I do have other mug rugs and they don't have all 3 of these. So look for this yellow ribbon and then you'll know. To make one mug rug, you're going to need background fabric, 9 by 7 inch piece, backing fabric, 2 pieces of fabric 9 by 7 inches, 100% cotton batting, a 9 by 7 inch piece, stabilizer, cutaway is recommended, machine embroidery thread, 40 weight, 100% polyester or rayon, basting spray, optional but very helpful, embroidery machine needle size 11, fusible seam tape, or you can stitch the back closed with some whip stitches. I like the seam tape because there's no sewing involved, and a 5 by 7 inch or larger hoop will be needed to complete this project. You'll also need your general supplies such as scissors, pins, sewing and embroidery needles, fabric marking pen or pencil, iron and ironing board, sewing and embroidery machine, cutting mat with ruler and rotary cutter, optional but helpful. Painter's tape or Scotch tape will also be needed. My embroidery hoop has cutaway stabilizer in it. I like the cutaway because then you don't have to worry about these being washed, because you don't want to wash anything that you use tearaway stabilizer for. So I got cutaway stabilizer, and my machine is loaded with my project, and I have some blue thread in the machine because my background is going to be this blue. The first stitching is going to be the stippling stitch for the background fabric. So you can use pins and pin this in place, or you can use a basting spray. I like the basting spray the best. Let's give it a quick little shot. Doesn't take very much. And then I put down my piece of cotton batting first. Now you can pin if you want. That's why I gave larger amounts of fabric. If you don't use the spray, you can pin, and then you can keep your pins way out of the way of the stitching. So now that I've got that one, I'm going to give it another quick shot, and I'm going to put in my background fabric, which is this navy blue, and it has what looks like snowflakes. So I'm going to take it to the machine, and I'm going to stitch out my first stitch. It's going to be that stippling stitch. Okay, now my stippling stitch is complete. It's kind of hard to see because the thread is a perfect match. So now I'm going to go to the machine, and I'm going to stitch out my next step. And this particular pattern has applique, so it's going to be the applique placement stitch for the snowman. Okay, so I made my placement stitch. I did it in white so you'll be able to see the stitching. And what I'm going to do now is clip my jump stitches. And then I'm going to place my white fabric over the snowman, making sure it's completely covered. And you know, for a bigger piece like this, I like to give the back a quick little splash. So make sure he's all covered. And it looks good. So now I'm going to take it back to the machine, and I'm going to stitch out my tack down stitch, which is going to tack this piece of fabric to the backing in the shape of the snowman. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut it all the excess away. Okay, my stitching is done in the shape of the snowman, so now what I'm going to do is cut my fabric really close to the stitching line. But I want to use my curved scissors because I don't want to cut into it. So I'm just simply going to do this all the way around. Okay, as you can see, I've cut around my snowman. And now before I go to the machine, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and close to the stitching, because some parts have a little too much. Okay, now that you have seen how the tack down stitches and the placement stitches work for machine applique, I'm going to go ahead and finish all my decorative stitching, and then I'll come back when it's time to put the mug rug together. At some point during my stitching, there's going to be a nice satin stitch around here. Okay, so I'll be back after all of my decorative stitching is complete. Okay, all my stitching is done. I have now put in my blue thread into my machine because we're going to do the final stitching, and I would want it to match my background fabric. Now, the way I put this backing on is a little different than a lot of mug rugs. I like to do it this way because I think it's just a neater look after it's turned. I have my two pieces of fabric, and they've both been folded in half and ironed. So I'm going to take my fabric with the fold towards the center, okay, and then here are my raw edges. And then I'm going to take this other piece of fabric, again this one was folded in half and ironed, and I'm going to place it right slightly overlapping the other one. Okay, so you can see that I have a slight overlap. You don't want anything more than an inch. So let me just, I think I'm just going to tape it this time. So I'm going to tape it like that. Okay, so now when my presser foot goes over, or my needle goes over, it's going to glide right over that tape. Okay, and then this one you don't have to worry about because it's going this way, so it's not going to get caught up. So now I'm going to take this back to my machine, and I'm going to stitch that final stitching. All my stitching is done, so now I can take that piece of tape and I can remove it from here. So you see my needle is able to just glide right over that little folded edge because I taped it. So now what I'm going to do is take everything out of the hoop because I'm completely finished with my stitching. Now what I like to do is, before I turn it right side out, I like to take my batting and my stabilizer, and then I like to take my curved scissors and cut close to my stitching. Not too close because I have cut through my stitches before. Okay, so I've cut the batting and the stabilizer close to the stitching line. So now all I got to do is cut this all the way around. Okay, now turning it right side out is the easiest part. You just go to the back there, and you've got that nice little opening, So you bring one side through there, and you bring the other side. Push out your corners. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go to the ironing board, and I'm going to press this whole thing nice and flat. But I like to press on this side because I notice sometimes with your iron, it could really make your stitches look distorted or shiny when you iron on this side. So I'm going to flip it over, iron the back, and then I'll be right back to show you how to seal it. Okay, my mug rug is now ironed, nice and flat. So what I'm going to do now is take this fusible seam tape, and I'm just going to cut it down. Then I'm going to slip it underneath the fold here. I'm going to take it back to the ironing board, and I'm going to iron that, and it's going to seal it closed. Okay, it's nice and closed. And now it can be washed if needed. And now all I have to do is cut away my jump stitches, and my mug rug is ready to go. If you want to make your own mug rug, I'll provide the link in the description to where you can find them. And please subscribe, like, share, or comment if you found value in this video. And as always, thank you for watching.